Hello, friends. It's your girl, Veniece Antoinette.
And Amomo Chanel.
Here with another episode of
Sip
Sip
and
and
Spill.
Spill. And today we brought a very special guest. Tell the people who you are.
What's going on, world? My name is Thomas Jordan. I'm a substitute teacher. I'm the JV head basketball coach at Susquehanna Township High School.
Woo woo.
Also just got into grad school at Central Penn College.
Hey.
And I'm vegan. And you can check out, I have a podcast called Well Connected on iTunes. Just type it in, Well Connected on your iTunes app for your podcast. And yeah, I'm here to talk some good topics today.
Yep. So make sure you check him out. We'll have all of his information down below where you can find him and find his podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So we brought him here today to talk about
dating someone who is not of the same religion as yourself. Could you do it? Could you not? Does it ever work? Stay tuned.
So
we could start with our guest. So Thomas, have you ever dated somebody that was of a different religion than yourself?
Actually, yes, I have before.
How did that work?
Well, it's a very interesting thing. I think just in general, in all relationships, having an open mind is a very key concept. Because at times, you're not always going to agree on everything.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
As much as you wish you could, there's going to be some differing views and opinions.
Mm-hmm.
So just in general, if you can have an open mind to something, then it can help adjust to it. So I guess for myself, I would consider myself more spiritual than religious per se.
Okay.
I was raised in a very strong, good religious foundation. And kind of on my own, once I got to college and stuff, started doing more spiritual exploring within myself.
Mm-hmm.
I started studying many different religions. And it's kind of saying that although there are many different religions, it's kind of all one tree and different branches going to the same source.
Mm-hmm.
So, in terms of there's only one universal God. There's only one God. And we all pray to the same God. Well, there's different names and topics for it.
Mm-hmm.
Believe it or not, many religions are very similar. So with that in mind, I kind of just had an open mind of, of being someone of a opposing religion.
So what was, not to get too personal, what was the religion of the person?
So one person was Muslim.
Okay.
Right? So yeah, I practice Islam.
Uh-huh.
And so I guess at times it kind of depends on the person, how close they are with their faith and their religion,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
how close do they follow it, and some things it really is for the future, right? So let's say you're with somebody, and obviously when you date someone, you want to date someone that you hope will be someone that you can keep moving on with to the future.
Mm-hmm.
Ideally, especially this age, someone can you can settle down with,
Right.
eventually kids, wife, the
Mm-hmm.
whole 9 yards, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so those are some things you have to think about as while you're in the moment dating them. It's religion may not really come up for certain
Mm-hmm.
things, right? But then understanding, okay, well, in the future, there will be some things that, although religions are similar, there are some contrasting things, obviously, about different parts of religion. And just adjusting to kind of that culture.
Mm-hmm.
One thing, for example, I know in Islam, every year during the summer with Ramadan,
Mm-hmm.
they're fasting, right, for 30 days. They fast from sunrise to sundown. There's a lot of different restrictions to it.
Mm-hmm.
And it could be something to adjust to
Mm-hmm.
as well. And sometimes what culture plays a factor, depending on the people's family, how devout they are,
Right.
their ethnic background. I know some Middle Eastern countries, right, especially people who are Arab descent who are or Muslim,
Mm-hmm.
with their families. Sometimes they look at marriage as, not say as an arrangement, but they would want somebody who encompasses that same faith or beliefs.
Right.
Okay.
Right? And so you have to be open-minded to understanding there are some different beliefs, or someone may necessarily be understand something. So it's kind of it's a growing process with yourself, because if you're with someone, right,
Mm-hmm.
and eventually, hopefully, you love them, right, you really care about them, it's about concessions.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes it's about letting go of your ego, or just kind of understanding more, okay, what someone else can bring to the table.
So you brought up Ramadan. How did that affect your relationship? Was it a problem or?
No, for me, to be honest, especially because of more of my being more spiritual and just kind of open-minded,
Mm-hmm.
It was actually kind of a cool thing of kind of learning more.
Did you participated with her? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of a support thing,
Mm-hmm.
what you do, because with Ramadan, it had nothing to do actually with per se of a religious dogma or like a specific like person or anything, right? It was more just of a spiritual, mental, and physical cleanse of the body, right? And just coming one with yourself. It's not. It wasn't really anything actually religious per se. It's more of a personal being yourself. And so initially, before I knew any knowledge of it, I thought it was something more with a certain, like, like Prophet Muhammad or something, for example, right? A religion, or, something that was following a specific, ideologies. And really started learning, I was like, yeah, it's like anybody could use fasting. It gives you like a good mental, spiritual cleanse as a whole.
And I've heard of people as well who use aspects of Ramadan to do like a yearly cleanse of themselves. They don't call it Ramadan, but when you look at what they do versus what people do during that time, it's basically the same exact thing. So I understand what you mean by that.
Yeah.
So would you date someone again who has different spiritual beliefs than you?
The biggest thing, right, are the open-minded. See, that's what it comes down to, right? Because obviously, sometimes with love doesn't have specific characteristics or a specific label to it. So you might fall with someone who may just have a contrasting view or opinion from you. So then it comes to, okay, is that love? Is that strong? Is that bond strong enough that you are willing to make that concession and really to have, okay, there might be some adjustments, but I see the bigger picture. So it really comes down to, for me, is like, is that person able to be open-minded, right? You gotta respect everyone's views and religions, right? I'm never the type of person to ever tell anybody they're wrong for what they believe in or what their faith or whatever it may be. But I just always like someone who you can be very confident and very devout into your faith, and that's fine. Just keep an open mind. Don't necessarily have because I don't understand religion, that means it's wrong, per se. That's all. Just being open-minded to something. You don't necessarily have to always agree on everything, but being with someone who said, okay, yeah, this is something I'll be open to. And some people, they're just very strong and devout, and that's fine. They may think, no, I just can't be open to this. So for me, if I date with someone outside of opposing religion, at least just have you open-minded. That's the biggest thing.
Venice, do you think you would date, or have you dated someone of an opposite religion?
I've gone on dates with someone, he was Muslim, and that was an issue for me because, one, I didn't understand a lot, and he didn't really explain it, and so I kind of had to do my own research to realize the way he was treating me was normal, and I didn't understand that. Like, for example, one thing I learned from, because there's also different types of Muslims. Like, not all Muslims are just, one thing. But I forget what group he was in. But I know when, like, a guy and a girl would first start dating, they wouldn't go on one-on-one dates. It always had to be a group. And I never understood that. So when he would, like, pick me up to go out or ask me to go out on dates with him, it would be me, him, and then a group of people. And then it was always like the girl sat on one side, the guy sat on the other side. Like, we never sat like co-ed type thing. It was always guys, girls. And then the guys always dominated the conversation and the girls spoke when spoken to. And that was an issue for me because I'm a very outspoken personality. So it was just little things like that kind of bothered me. And I didn't really... I was young too, because this was when I was in high school. So it was like, I didn't really know any better, but at that point, I wasn't open-minded to it, because one, I didn't understand it. And two, I think it would have been different if he took the time to explain it to me, or kind of like tell me, because he knew I wasn't Muslim, and I was not familiar with that religion at all. I didn't start studying Islam until I went to college, so I didn't understand anything about it. And he knew that, because I was very upfront about it. So that was kind of an issue, but I also don't know if I would date someone who was of an opposing religion from me in the future. Because I don't know, like, I don't know how open I would be to certain things, and I don't know how open that person would be to certain things based on how strict they are with their religions. What about you?
I think that as far as dating somebody that I see myself settling down with, I don't know if I could date someone that was opposing religion, because I'm open to learning about other religions, and I think that there's a lot of cool things about other religions. Like I just went to a Jewish wedding for the first time. There's a lot of like things that I think were really amazing about the way that they lead up to their marriage. But I myself, with my religion, I'm a Christian, and I know that like if I have kids, I want to raise them as a Christian. That's how I go through my life. That's how I get through my problems. So if I'm with somebody who's not going to be willing to pray the way I do, or believe the things I do, I just don't know how that's going to work.
Yeah, I won't say like I'm completely opposed to it, because one point Thomas made earlier that I agree with in reference to religions is that most religions are praising the same God. They just have different names for it. And a lot of religions are teaching you the same things, just in different practices. So that part I don't have an issue with. It's just I don't like the judgments that come with different people's beliefs and different things like that. I love learning, but I also don't like being looked at a certain way, because that was another issue with that specific person I was talking about earlier, was he would speak down to me because I was Christian. And I never did that to him for being Muslim. I really wanted to learn the culture. I really wanted to learn the belief system. So that kind of put a bad taste in my mouth of dating people. So, that experience put a bad taste in my mouth in reference to dating someone of different religious belief. I don't even want to say religious belief, a different religion, because I have dated people who were more spiritual, where they didn't really attach themselves to a specific religion. They just considered themselves a spiritual being. And I can get along with that type of person. It's just someone who is very strict in a religion that's different than mine. And when they kind of like combat me with my beliefs versus their beliefs or different things like that, that's kind of when the issue occurs.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Do you guys think that eventually, like say you get to the point of marriage with somebody who's of a different religion, do you think eventually one of you has to convert? Or can you go on as a married couple being two different religions?
That's an interesting question. And, it's like, I guess it kind of depends on what type of personalities you have. And kind of what are the reasons that brought you guys together. Right? It's, I guess it depends on, one person feels like, hey, look, I really want to raise our kids in a certain way. I want to teach them certain ideologies. I want them to be, learn these certain aspects. And you may feel that, hey, for that to happen, I really would like if you would, maybe look more into adjusting to it, right? But it's always hard to tell someone that, hey, you need to change your beliefs for me.
Right.
Right. And
to an extent, I don't think it's fair.
It's not fair, and I wouldn't want to do it, honestly. I don't want you to practice something just because you think it's what I want you to do, because that's basically, it's not effective if you don't really want to do it.
And that's why you can have at times a dysfunction or a breakdown in a relationship. Because if you have like a little bit, like just a little bit of tension of, okay, we're opposing views of religion, and we've had, some passionate conversations about them, and, we are now at a point where we're just not going to see this same about it. If you don't address it properly, right, and something comes with ego. Because sometimes when you think that, like, this is right, this is how I feel, this is how I was raised on, and you have someone who's presenting something contrasting to that, but you love that person, but you really care about that person, it kind of puts you at like almost a middle ground, almost of like limbo, because it's like, man, you really, really care about this person, you would like do whatever for this person, but now it's contrasting against something that you like really are like a philosophical like aspect. So I think to change from a religion, that'd be something to do on your own. That'd be something that you already have just like without that person, right? You're you learn more about a different religion. You're kind of gearing to as it is, and because of that person, okay, something you could open to. But it's something I wouldn't expect. I wouldn't like that. Wouldn't be for me like a guideline. Like, all right, like, if you're gonna be with me, be my girl, you gotta convert. Because it's like controlling to a degree, and you want someone to be in a relationship for their own free will. Because it can make a concession like that, but low key they may not really like it, but they're doing it for you. And especially like if you're not open minded, like you said, the guy you talked to, how he would kind of speak down to you because you have an opposing religion or view, and it's like that's not effective. Like you shouldn't do that because how you sound, like why are you dating them then? Like if you're gonna talk down on somebody, what do you look like? So it's like, all right, so it's a reflection on yourself.
Right. Exactly. So what time in the dating process do you guys think that you should establish? Like, what is your religion? What do you believe?
Yo, it's interesting.
I think sooner than later.
How soon?
That's a good question, but I just think sooner than later. Yeah, I don't know how.
Yeah, I definitely agree sooner than later.
I guess in the first 3 months,
and
because that's the honeymoon phase.
Yeah, and it probably if you're that devout in it, it'll probably come out within that first 3 months in some type of way. I would think.
What would you say?
I mean, it's something. All right, so I've dated a girl where, she didn't even ask for my religious beliefs. We did it for months, probably 4 or 5 months, and it never really came up. And that was a cool thing in terms of we had a good connection in terms of communicating,
right? And
which I knew her religious beliefs, right? But I wasn't opposed to them. I wasn't against them or anything. So I was like, all right. It's she never really asked. The good thing, she wouldn't necessarily just assume 100% that if I celebrate certain holidays, she would ask, hey, do you celebrate Easter? Hey, do you celebrate Christmas? So it was already kind of a cool open mind of all right, didn't necessarily just 100% assume. But she was very, very devout in her religious faith and beliefs, and it was something that really didn't even come up. It wasn't really a factor for immediately when we first started talking at all, because it's something all right, I was kind of played out and kind of just, I guess, you would. I think you need to at least understand what someone else's religious beliefs are. Just at least know from all right, bet what they believe in or what they may think.
Right.
So I think that is important. At some point, we get closer to somebody and get to know them. But again, it goes again to when you're talking to someone or dating someone, what's their true intentions? We'll see where this goes. Is something all right, but I'm dating you because I really think, I think you're really special. I bet because he's really growing and building and doing something special with this. Right? Or there's something that's kind of in between stage. You're man, I really like this person. I want to do everything right for this person. So at times you may not want to bring up religion because man, they may have opposing views or opinions. They may not like what I think. I don't want that person to resent me some type of way. Right. So it's kind of a slippery slope when you go around it.
Yeah, I can see that definitely. But if it is important to you.
So how about you? Yeah. How early do you think you should tell someone?
I would say I feel that would maybe come out within the first month or two. If you're heavily talking, let's say if it's somebody, once you get to the point of maybe talking every day, I feel that'll come out within the first month or so. Because maybe if it may be an extreme that you just can't deal with. I don't think I could date an atheist. So if I know what I believe and then they find out, or I find out they don't believe in anything at all, then that probably just shouldn't go any further. So I feel in the first month, maybe get that out.
See, I would say that the first month is too soon.
If you're talking to somebody every day, though, once you get...
I've dated people where I've talked to them every day, and I never talked about my religious beliefs or anything like that up until probably a while. The reason I said 3 months is because I've gone beyond that before it came up, and I've realized that could be an issue. But
why wouldn't you want to get it out though? If it's an issue,
it just didn't come up. I wasn't gonna push it. It wasn't something that just came up in conversation. It wasn't they asked me, I didn't ask them. I didn't really say, oh, I'm going to church this Sunday. What are you doing? It just didn't come up. We talked about, we had really good conversation. We talked about a lot of things, but religion just wasn't the things that we talked about. And that's happened to me with more than one person. So, I'm not saying a month is too soon. I'm just saying for me, I haven't seen that come out in the first month for me. It just didn't come up in conversation. It's not something I would ask on a first, second, or third date type thing. So
basically it was something you was waiting for something organically to come out.
Yeah, I prefer for it to kind of be organic, but at the same time I do after dealing with a situation where I didn't tell the person my religious belief and I didn't know theirs for maybe like 6 or 7 months, when it did come out, I did see, okay, this might be an issue. So that's why I'm saying like sooner than later, because I did see how that played out. It's just, like you said, I would prefer for it to be organic.
Okay, so to that point though, right, what could be a factor? How long for y'all do you think when you're talking to someone and you're really seriously talking about them until you introduce them to family or friends? Because that could play a factor.
That's
especially
true.
if someone has an opposing religious view, something like that. It's like, all right, I want to meet my family, I want to meet my friends. All right, maybe by that point, you need to really discuss. Because especially if your family is like devout in a certain faith or belief, you don't want to blindside them.
No, that's true.
Or, you know what I mean, or they'll be uncomfortable, or it's like, oh man, it's a lot. So, for y'all, how long do you think you need it?
Any guy who's met my parents definitely was familiar with my religious belief.
Nobody, I never brought anyone around my family that like didn't really know what everything they needed to know about it. And honestly, it would have to be like boyfriend level.
Yeah.
So maybe I would rather be around you for about like 6 months before you meet my family, honestly.
Oh yeah, nice.
Yeah, at least, honestly. At least.
Yeah, you need to go through some stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And it also depends on like distance too. Like if you're living away from home, like I'm not about to make a road trip to my house with somebody who is not even that deep with yet. Like
yeah, it has to be. You have to be like locked in. You're not just gonna meet my family.
Yeah.
But that is a good point. Like if you meet my family, would like my dad is a deacon, you would definitely know. And some things would come out if you never heard what my beliefs were before.
Yeah,
it could be an issue.
Yeah, you're definitely not meeting my mom if you don't know my religious beliefs, because that could be an issue.
Because you know how the parents and loved ones, you know, they it's like interrogation when you meet someone. Especially, at least I can speak from a guy perspective. You know, when I meet, like, if I'm dating a girl, I meet her family, I meet her mom. But especially meet, like, a male in the family. You meet either a father, a brother, an uncle, whoever it may be. You know, it's like, all right, it's, you know, it's like a job interview, essentially.
Right.
So, you know, you want to get the right answers. And so I think definitely if you're meeting someone, you should be at least knowledgeable of their religious views or opinions. So that way you could, like, word your answers in a very, I guess, you know, just kind of diplomatic way.
Friction.
Right, you're not trying to offend anybody. You're not trying to come off as, you know, as intolerant.
Right.
And so definitely it could be. So that's a factor. You gotta explain those things.
And it also depends on how important religion is to your family too.
I'm thinking of like, now we're talking about that. How would I feel going to somebody's house who was of a different religion that I wasn't? That, you know, that I didn't grow up in. Like, how would I feel, you know, answering questions and telling them, no, I believe this. I feel like that would be kind of uncomfortable if they make it like that.
Yeah, I was in that scenario with the person I was talking about earlier because I think I don't know if this is just his personal family or if this is actually their belief system, but it was like after 3 dates or something like that, you're supposed to meet a family member. So I met his dad. And his dad was worse than him in reference to like talking down on Christianity to me. Wow. So, and I didn't know that. Like, I wasn't prepared for any of that because he used to just say slick things. So I wouldn't really pick up on it until I thought about it after the fact. But his dad was like real, like, up front with it. Like, so, no filter, nothing. And like,
so how did you deal with that?
I left. I'm serious. I called my mom and I left, like, because I didn't know what to do. I was crying, like, I just didn't know how to handle it. I mean, I was a teenager at that time too, but still, it was just like a lot.
Even today, I don't know. I just don't want to. Like, I'm interested in learning other things, but I don't want to be put in a position where I'm defending myself. You know what I mean, or being talked down to because of my religion. And people's families, I feel like they want them to be with somebody that's like them. So I see how that could definitely be an issue.
Right.
And I think if I was better equipped of the situation, I would have been able to prepare for that meeting for his dad better. But you know, I didn't know anything.
So to the fire.
Right. Just boom, like, because I didn't even know I was meeting his dad that day.
Oh, wow.
Like, it was like kind of like an expectation that I was supposed to know that, because like his other friends too, a lot of them were Muslim, and they're like, oh, you know, you're meeting his dad today. I'm like, huh? Like, because they were there too, and I'm like, everybody's in except me. Like,
and sometimes it's like how family can raise and culture plays a big part in terms of religious aspects. So, for example, so two friends growing up of mine were Muslim, right? And they both had family members and sisters. All right, so they're both Palestinian American, right? On one side, his parents, they were devout. Like, they didn't come to America until like they were grown adults, right? And they came here and brought the kids and stuff, had kids here. And so they're more accustomed to kind of traditional stuff, how it was back over there, right? Another side of friends, their parents came here in high school, okay. From overseas. So they kind of grew up in America, grew up American culture and everything.
more Americanized.
So you see a difference is like, for example, in my friend who is more traditional, right? Their daughter wears like a hijab, right? Growing up, you know, dating, she couldn't like date boys like that, you know, says, I don't go home, I can't really do this, right? Opposed to the other side where other family like, no, American culture, like, oh, she did wear her hijab and stuff. Like, you know, she went out and party, had her friends and everything. And so sometimes you can't just use religion as a whole, because they're both Muslim. Yeah. Right? They both have the same views and everything, right? But their ideology, how they're raised, a little different. So, like, the other girl, she would date outside of religion and race. She would, like, date a lot of, like, black guys and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, and people with different religions or races and outside the fam. Opposed to the other side of the fam, they're very peaceful and open-minded, right? So they're not hateful. But they definitely prefer, you know, if you did something part of that race and religion, right? That's probably more prefer, and that family just as a whole, I wouldn't say they would shun her or anything like that, but maybe more of a cultural disappointment if he does date somebody outside of that race. So sometimes, like, it's a culture is a big factor opposing the actual religion itself. Because you can just say on service, oh yeah, that person's Muslim. You're like, oh, you think, all right, I'm going to have these generalizations. But it's kind of how are you raised though? Right. And I think that's a big factor too.
That is a good point.
No, that is. And I think that's a good place to close it out. So, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you tell us down below what you believe in reference to dating somebody with different religious beliefs. Are you for it? Are you against it? Make sure you send us any stories you have so we can share them on the show.
Please do.
Thank you so much to Thomas for coming through today.
Appreciate you.
Again, all his information will be down below so you can follow him, check out his podcast, and subscribe on iTunes. And again, thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, make sure you give this video a big old thumbs up and hit that subscribe button down below. Make sure you subscribe to us on iTunes as well. Apple, Sip and Spill, check us out. And make sure you check us out every Wednesday, 8 p.m., where we'll drop a new episode for you. Thanks again, and until next time, deuces.